Hello, I just finished reading chapter 19 on consistency, and this is a video just to kind of talk a little bit about what I read and how I plan on implementing that into my coaching and teaching. I'm going to probably focus more on coaching here. Some things I kind of took away from it. Some of the things that I kind of stood out was freeing yourself to become more positive. Focusing through a lot of the negative stuff that goes on and everything as you go as a coach, because there's a lot of factors that you really can't control, and I'll kind of talk on that just in a little bit here. The one that I think stood out the most here toward the end of chapter 19 was controlling moods. When I go back and think as a player, when I look at my coaches and everything, how their mood was at practice or how their mood was before, during the game and everything really kind of dictated to me, how the day was going to be. Is this going to be a day that I'm going to kind of enjoy myself, or does he look like he's in a really bad mood? Maybe we're just come off a bad loss and everything. So those are things that I kind of take away from my past coaches and stuff, that I kind of take it into my coaching style. And setting the mood is definitely something I am working on, and that's one of the things I'm going to work on the most. Let's just say, especially after a loss, if we have a loss after the game, I take them out to the outfield and we talk. I try not to dwell on the negatives. I'll focus on some of the positive things that we did, even though we lost. The next day at practice, what I do is I show up before we get going. I'll kind of address and have them also talk about what are some of the things that we didn't do right at the game, and what are some of the things that we need to address at practice to get ready for the next game. So that's kind of like my goal for that day, for that practice, is okay, what did we kind of do wrong at the game that we need to put a little more emphasis into, and that'll be my goal for the day, is make sure we get better at that before the next game starts. But I think it's definitely important as far as setting the mood and being positive, especially after loss. They're already upset. I know no one wants to go out there and, lose. No one works hard and goes out there and tries to lose or anything. And if I've had coaches, yelling and screaming, upset that we should have beat these guys and stuff. And there's a lot of times where we played a team that I knew we should have beat. And it's kind of disappointing. I'll go home and I kind of reflect on what happened, again, the good things and the bad things that was going on, and say, okay, how are we going to get better from this and everything like that. So I've always had that approach as a player, is, yeah, I'm disappointed. I didn't do as well as I could have done, either as a player or coach. But how do I learn from that? And that's something I really emphasize with my players. Is that's fine if you lose. That's part of the game. That's going to happen. The question is, did you learn from it? Can you move forward? And then that's part of the process of just getting better as an individual and as a team and everything. And I mentioned earlier in the book, it talks about working through some tough times, working through it. And one thing that came through my mind is focusing through and growing through setbacks. Is probably the other thing that kind of stuck at me, because there's a lot of factors, outside factors, that I just have no control of. I work hard on the field to give them the best possible field, because I want them to be able to perform at their very best. I have issues with, let's say, maintenance and stuff, as far as them not really, in my mind, doing their job as far as keeping the field up for us and everything like that. And I try not to let that affect me and affect my mood in a negative way, because I'm at practice trying to be more positive for my players. And I don't need those outside factors just, messing up that mood and making me more agitated and stuff like that, because then I know I'm not going to really get the most out of my players for that day if they're just more worried about whether or not they're going to get yelled at, or if they do something wrong, and those kinds of things. So these are things I'm going to be working on. Is if I can't control, there's nothing really I can do. Be positive, have a smile on my face, be excited to be there, and then I know my players will be excited to be there, and that's all part of the process of getting better. So that's what I took away from chapter 19 of consistency.